Okay, here is the first video on factoring trinomials. You're going to be given simple trinomials in this one. More complicated ones will be in videos to come. Okay, when we're going to factor a trinomial, what we have to do is we have to figure out two numbers that when I multiply them together, I get this number, and when I add them together, I get this number. Okay, in this case, there's only two numbers that would work, 7 and 1. See, 7 times 1 is 7, and 7 plus 1 is 8. And that's how we're going to have to be doing these. Those would be your two answers. You'd have, this is how you'd write them. Right? And if we work this problem out, we would end up with this answer. Now, when we did the boxes and we were figuring out how to multiply these things and we were coming up with these answers, now we're reversing it. And I'm going to show you the best way to do it. Just watch it. Two numbers that we multiply, we get this number. We add them, we get this number. Let's look at another. All right, what two numbers, when I multiply them together, I get 64. And when I add them together, I get 16. It's pretty important that you know your multiplication tables when you do this. This is a case where calculators won't help you that much. I know that 8 times 8 is 64, and 8 plus 8 is 16. So that's going to be my factors. So we write our answers like this: b plus 8 times b plus 8. We use our two numbers this way. Alright. All of our answers, when we factor these simple ones, will be set up, factored, like this. If you want to set it up right off the bat, you can. Alright, in this case, what two numbers, when I multiply them together, I get negative 12, and when I add them together, I get positive 4. You got to be careful on this one. Look at this. I'm going to take the 12, and I'm going to do multiples of 12. Let's see, 12 times 1 is 12, but there's no way I can add 12 and 1 together and get 4, so it can't be that one. Alright, how about 2 times 6? Well, I see that if I take 2 away from 6, I would get 4, so that will work. But I need a positive 6 and a negative 2 to get to positive 4. And 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. So there's my two factors. I have positive 6 and negative 2. That's how we would factor it out. Anytime you see this sign as being negative, one of these factors down here is going to have to be positive and one's going to have to be negative. It's the only way we can get a negative answer out here. And then you're going to manipulate it so that you'll get the sum of this digit here. Let's take a look at this one. What two numbers, when I multiply them together, I get 24. When I add them together, I get negative 4. Alright, let's take a look. Here we go. 24. I could have 24 and 1. There's no way I can add or subtract these and do it, add and use negatives or whatever and get 4. So that's out. What else? I have 12 times 2. No way I can get to 4 from there. I have 8 times 3. No way I can get to 4 from there. I also have 6 times 4. Okay, there's no way I can get to 4 from there. So if we ever have a case like this one, where we go through all of our factors, and there's no way I can add them together and get this middle number, then it's no factors. And that's literally what you'd put, no factors. Okay? Alright, let me show you the last one, and then you can get extra credit. What two numbers would give me positive 6 and negative 5? Well, we have 6 and 1, and that's obviously how I would get to negative 5. But let's see if we can do it. Our factors are going to have to be the same, right? See, if I had two factors down here, if this is positive and this is positive, then there's no way that could be a negative number. So that wouldn't work. So I can't have both positives. Alright. Well, if this is negative and this is negative, then I would have this number times a negative times a negative, that give me a positive. And if I add two negatives together, I do get a negative answer. So this might work. But if I had -6 and -1, that'd be -7. That's out. What about 2 and 3? See, 6 and 1, you might have thought that would give you 5. But in this case, it won't. But look at 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And -2 plus -3 is -5. So that would be your answer. So just take your time, find all the multiples for these, and then when you add them together, you get this. Here's your 4 extra credit problems. Show your work, find the multiples of each of these, and see when you add them together, the sum, you get that middle digit. Show your work, turn in Mr. Riddle, get your extra credit.